Floor 2. Going down.
Take a ride down the elevators at 202 C Street, San Diego City Hall, and you'll end up in the basement.
Basement. Going up.
Then walk down a long white hallway that's very, very clean and through a nondescript door. You'll end up in a magical place filled with boxes and boxes of city council resolutions, records of property ownership, old cemetery maps, and ordinances from the 1800s, back when Mexico owned San Diego. This is the City of San Diego's archives.
We have a lot of cool stuff down here that the public had never laid eyes on.
Sheila Beal is the Deputy Director of Archives and Records Management for the city, and she kicks off our archives tour.
And so a lot of these precious, historical, fragile books and materials just lay dormant.
We would hire the most wonderful archivist on the planet.
In 2013, Liz Malin, the city clerk, got $50,000 in funding for the archiving program by reminding people what the city had basically in its basement that was forgotten about.
That's when the light went on for me, and I was like, people can't care about something unless they know it exists.
Now she preserves and stores historic documents and also makes the archives accessible to the public. About half of her budget goes to paying a part-time archivist, Jerry Hanfield.
All civilizations have had record keeping. The only difference in those days is that record keepers were among the highest paid officials.
Hanfield and other members of the city clerk staff walked us through what the city archives have.
These are ordinances from the time when Mexico governed San Diego.
He also showed us census books from the 1800s, cemetery records including Chinese and Masonic burial grounds, and books recording property ownership, all written out by hand. Some of these are stored in the cold vault, a special refrigerated room kept at 68 degrees. Paper stored at 68 degrees lasts twice as long as when it's stored at 72 degrees.
It's the best place to be, in the basement. You can hide in here, but don't stay too long.
Patrice Percy, who works for the city clerk's office, shows us around. The vault is filled with stacks of boxes, and each of those are filled with endless pieces of paper. And there are leather-bound books that look like they belong on the set of Game of Thrones.
A lot of the earliest records from the city are in here, because we have a lot of the old books, documents, resolutions, ordinance.
In fact, they have 306,964 council resolutions, and that only goes up to 2017. City staff are also working to scan and categorize more than 1 million negatives and photos. They have about 50,000 done so far, which are searchable on the city's website. Another part of the job is storing the documents that are essential to city government.
Every government has records, but in a democracy, we want to make them accessible. It enables them to have trust in their institutions. They trust the city council if they can see the records that the city council is seeing too.
That means the city clerk's office works with every council office and every city department to let them know what records need to be stored and for how long. And yes, they keep paper copies of everything, says Liz Mayland, the city clerk.
I'm the official record keeper for the city, and I'm tasked with keeping things forever and ever. Amen.
So they have multiple cold vaults in different locations downtown where they store the records. That and a site underground in the salt mines in Kansas. Yes, really. At the end of our tour, the city archivist Jerry Hanfield points out a quote from the city council minutes back in 1850.
They designated an iron safe be appropriated to the clerk for the safekeeping of the city archives.
Today, the storage is a little bigger than one iron safe, but the idea is basically the same. Claire Trageser, KPBS News.